Next up at UFC Nashville, we have Billy Quarantillo taking on Damon Jackson. Billy Quarantillo, 17-5 overall, 2-3 in his last 5. He is alternating wins and losses. He's taking on Damon Jackson, 22-5 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, coming off that loss to Dan Ige. Listen, I'm not going to spend a ton of time doing the individual fighter thing. This is a really tough pick. And the line hasn't moved at all, which is surprising to me. But Billy Quarantillo, guy's a good grappler, solid striking, incredible aggression. Striking is not super technical, but his offense is effective. He's landing almost 8 significant strikes per minute. That's an astronomical number. He's going to come forward, throw like crazy, try to wrestle. He's taking on Damon Jackson. Damon Jackson's going to come forward, not throw like crazy. He's just going to start wrestling. He's an aggressive wrestler. He has really good control when he gets you to the ground. Solid grappling. He did knock out Pat Sabatini, but I would not call Damon Jackson a big power striker. This is a really, really tough pick. This is an insanely close fight because my gut reaction is like, oh, Billy's going to win. Damon's not very good. But that's not true. Go through Damon's fights. Look at the 4-fight win streak he put together before losing to Dan Ige. That had knockouts in it and submissions. He's getting takedowns. He's out grappling people. And yes, he has looked sloppy at times, like that Dan Argueta fight. Dan took it on short notice, and that was a bit sloppy. But Damon Jackson is always grinding. He's always doing something. He's not just backing up. The only reason I am going to pick Billy Quarantillo in this fight, I have it listed as low confidence. The only reason I'm going with Billy here is because in Damon's last fight, he decided to strike. And at no point did he mix it up. At no point did he say, I should probably try to wrestle here. And he got lit up, and it was just clear that there's levels to the sport. And Dan Ige, we know how good Dan Ige is. But it just made me question, like, oh, man, what decisions is he going to make in this fight? Is he not going to come wrestle immediately? So Damon Jackson, I think, is a phenomenal underdog. I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if Damon Jackson spoils a lot of people's nights. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I don't think he wrestled Dan Ige because I think it's probably easier to try to strike and knock out Dan Ige than it is to wrestle and out-grapple him. But I agree with this fight. I mean, both these guys are similar, both coming off knockout losses. You would assume the Billy Q knockout loss was a little bit worse because he got the knee and he just kind of fell flat on his face, but he kind of popped up pretty quickly, where Damon, with that knockout, kind of stayed down a little bit longer. You know, Billy Q, if this was like a minus 125 or minus 130, I think I load up on that, but minus 175, I'm in the same boat. You know, I like him in this matchup because I think he can control the pace, he can control the wrestling, he can stay safe on the ground if it goes to the ground, and for whatever reason, Damon's on top, and he's a better striker. I mean, I think he's pretty much better everywhere in this matchup, but since he got knocked out, and Damon does have power, and he will throw wild, that is a little pause for concern. Damon is a guy that wants to dictate the pace. He wants to dictate the pressure, much like Sean Woodson. If things are going his way, he's going to be looking good because he's going to be controlling the octagon. He's going to be able to get the takedowns, the control, and do what he needs to do. But you saw Dan Ige was in his face, and Damon Jackson did not like Dan Ige in his face. And Billy Q is a guy that gets in your face. I mean, he gets in your face. He stays in your face with the striking, with the wrestling. I just don't think that Damon Jackson's going to like the pressure. So I'm a little bit higher on Billy Q than you are, I think, but not enough to place a bet on him right now. Probably a live bet situation as far as like on the stream, but I think Billy Q can get this done fairly easily. It could end up being a pretty good value if he shows up the way he should, but he's going to be my pick.
Yeah, it is tricky, and the line hasn't moved really at all, so it will be interesting if it does move, because I think a lot of people are like, Damon Jackson should lose, plus 150 is not worth it, or Billy should win, minus 175 is too much. It's just sort of sitting there. It'll be interesting when we see, what day do you send, or do you see those, you send them to me, those like MGM, the percentage of bets and stuff?
Usually on Saturday.
It'll be interesting to see. I bet this is the lowest bet fight on the card. Maybe weigh-ins will change something because I have a feeling Damon's going to look much, much bigger than Billy, and that, for some reason, does affect line movement.
Billy's part of that Ray Longo crew, too. So they've had a lot of success, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. I've never seen a resurrection of a gym like that before. It's crazy. I've only seen the opposite. Like, I've seen, we just talked about this the other day, Jackson Wink. Jackson Wink was like the gym of all gyms. It sort of just fell off, and they haven't really built the next generation. Somehow, Longo Serra Gym over there has just built the next generation, just out of nowhere, just quietly built the next generation of fighters. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.